Hello, everyone. Taser2, and welcome back to the Lads Podcast. The last time I've posted anything at the time of recording this episode is December 31st, and that was the time capsule, so I guess that's technically, you know, a 2-year-old video. And the last time we recorded a podcast episode, we survived to episode 20. That was on
And
August
then we
15th,
stopped.
and then we
Yeah, it's been a
stopped.
long while.
But we're back. Um, just need to address a couple things. Where have I been? Where have we been? For me,
We
it's mostly just living the college life. You know, over overworked and overstressed. Uh, just YouTube and streaming really went to the wayside. But the important thing is I'm back at least for the summer. I finally decided to hit record for once. And we're changing up how things work a little bit around here. So, well, first, Gary from now on is going to be referred to as Jamie, uh, as per their request.
yup.
Uh,
That's what we're
do,
going with now.
do you want to explain it or just kind of?
Maybe in a future podcast episode, but most of our listeners I probably don't know personally, so
Right, that much is true.
it's a bit odd to be put just throw that out
That
there.
is,
So,
so we're
but maybe
we're we're
eventually.
just throwing that out there so you're not confused. Anyway, so we're changing up how the podcast works a little bit. We're going to instead do two big stories, reports written by each of the hosts. It's just
Disclaimer: we should put disclaimer now. We're not experts on anything we're going to talk about.
a slight connection issue there. We are
Oh, my
we are
bad.
not experts. That's what Jamie was trying to say.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna get started here. And they're all like recent things, so they might be a little bit charged, so to speak. I'm gonna start with
Yeah.
some.
Mine.
I'm gonna start with my report.
Mhm.
So
That's
the
fair. That's good.
so the FDA denies Juul Labs authorization to the U.S. market. This was on this past Thursday. At the time of recording, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has issued a series of marketing denial orders to Juul Labs Inc. for every product currently marketed in the United States. The statement cites that they recognize Juul's products to make up a significant part of the available products, and many played a disproportionate role in the rising use of vaping. There was a story. Well, let's just explain the marketing strategy right out of the gate. So it was
All right.
2015, and Juul Labs was founded, and they began to produce their products and their marketing strategy, which was coming from a couple angles. First of which was social media influence. They would give their products to young social media influencers, and they would, model with it and smoke it, that sort of thing. And then there's other ads that they would run, and these ads were about adults kicking smoking using Juul, and all of them having this underlying message: it's safe, it's fun, it comes in these cool flavors and colors, and it's like just this sleek design that's actually kind of handles itself quite nicely to the would-be child that would get their hands on one of these and start consuming nicotine stealthily. Whether they intended to or not, that's what happened. Uh, though it does seem to be that that was their intention. In 2018, 30% of high school seniors were vaping, and Juul was holding a 50% market share in the industry. So that's how the FDA kind of considered that they might be they might be contributing to the youth vaping crisis. So they issued these orders, and that's pretty much the gist of how it started, at least. So they did a couple of things that made their product appealing to kids. First of all, the stealthy nature of Juul package, just how it's like charged via USB. You can use your phone charger. Pretty pretty simple, pretty easy. It just comes in these pods, and these tiny pods. They're like 1.5 milliliters of liquid, and that's like a pack of cigarettes worth of nicotine. Sometimes more if you get into the higher strengths. The vapor is odorless, and there is enticing flavors. At least back in those days, you had mint, cream, you know, things that don't taste like tobacco or you know anything like that. Sweet flavor for the kids to enjoy. So that was the FDA's first strike against the e-cigarette company. They just struck down the flavors. That was September. No, not September. Yeah, it was. Yep, September of 2019. They banned all flavors of e-cigarette from it, with the exception of tobacco and menthol flavors. So, what really gets me about this story is that their whole marketing strategy, it's kind of genius when you think about it. Because you know the first one's about and it's safe, kids just try it, and the other one, it's selling like hope for the adult smoker that's trying to kick the addiction. And in my personal experience of working at a gas station where we sell these, it's very much like they'll try to kick it. They'll start with like kind of a moderate strength, something on par with what you would use to in a normal cigarette, and then they would go down strengths and buy like less at a time, but then eventually they would just go back up because it was still keeping them hooked. Now, I have seen other people get off using them, but it's just not. I don't think it's the best way to do it. There's definitely
Mhm.
more tried and true. It, the, as far as I'm aware, you know, the vaping industry is not about uh, solving the crisis. It's about selling the new cigarette. Now, these marketing denial orders, they have been appealed, citing that the marketing denial orders are so detrimental to their business that they will be forced to declare bankruptcy. I don't know why that's an issue, a point of contempt, but
Mhm.
there's probably some law somewhere that I am not aware of because I'm not a lawyer that makes it so MDOs aren't allowed to cripple a business. So they're appealing that. So for now, Juul is back on the market. They were off the market for 2 entire days.
That's such a great amount of time. They did so much good. It's fantastic.
So it's kind of funny.
Hmm.
Um, and it does kind of lend itself to the whole idea that money makes the world go round.
Yeah,
And if somebody has enough of it, they just kind of get a slap on the wrist, and there you go.
that is essentially what happened there.
I'm not sure if the appeal gonna go through, but it was like in between before the trial's over, they get to still sell their product.
So to be continued, basically.
Yeah, so to be continued. Anyway, I want to know your thoughts. Are you with Juul on this one? Do you?
My thoughts. I don't think I'm with Juul on this one now. I think it's kind of silly that the FDA simply was just like, "Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry, your business will fail because of this." Like, in an instance like this, maybe some businesses kind of need to fail.
Yeah,
Honestly, if
that's
they're
what
if they're
I'm
doing
saying.
more harm than good.
You know, maybe at this point, Juul is like
Hmm.
they they've crossed a certain line.
Yeah, it's like maybe we don't care if your business goes under, and I don't see why the FDA should be concerned about that. Like they
Right.
should be care they should care about the health of the consumer, not the well-being of the company.
Yeah, I guess at this point it's more of not the concern of the FDA, it's the concern of the entire US government, like as a system. We got
Hmm.
this if if something doesn't make it so like why should a company not go under?
Right.
Like I guess maybe the people that work there, maybe you're concerned about the people who work there, US
No,
citizens
I guess that's reasonable.
are
Right.
going to lose their jobs. Um
Hmm.
if that's the case, then the whole, the system of how bankruptcy works should protect them because
Yeah, I agree with that.
certain forms of bankruptcy, they'll give them severance packages and stuff because
Hmm.
you know, that's the whole point of filing for bankruptcy instead of just running out of money.
Hmm.
So you have some of that support to like kind of stop people from getting crushed under the weight of your failing. So I don't understand why. Then again, at the same time, the only other like I don't think this is going to stop. It's not going to take a blow to the industry. If anything, it's going to open up
For sure.
room for more people because when you think about it, the tobacco industry as a whole is like made up of like five companies.
Hmm.
You know, on cigarettes you got R.J. Reynolds, Philip Morris, and that's it. And whatever American Spirits are, I don't know. But so you got those three companies that sell cigarettes, and then like two companies that make chewing tobacco. So there's not a lot of companies in that space. And like American Spirits isn't nearly as big as R.J. Reynolds, Philip Morris, because they have about
Hmm.
five or six brands under their umbrella, each like a piece.
Yeah.
American Spirits is just one. Those edge cases there, but it's largely a monopoly or a duopoly.
Hmm.
So I don't think that anything's gonna go away, especially since we're talking about R.J. Reynolds. They make Views, which is another e-cigarette brand, and
Yeah.
it's one of the three that are authorized by the FDA to like be you know safe enough that they're not
Hmm.
more dangerous, because that was like the bottom line for like them being authorized for sale. Are they more dangerous than cigarettes? Like if they're more dangerous than cigarettes, then we have to get rid of them, otherwise they can stay. So that was the interesting thing there. The FDA is giving them enough leeway because otherwise they have a crisis on their hands with a bunch of nicotine addicted people
Hmm.
without their cigarettes. That was the major thing. Like why it's a very it's a very interesting concept. You have this thing that's killing people, but at the same time, if you get rid of it, more people might get hurt.
Right. So you got to balance which one is more important to you,
Yeah,
kind of.
and then you have to factor in the economy.
Hmm.
Factor it. You put the economy in here, and then you got tobacco is a huge industry, makes a lot of money. So what's going to happen to all the tobacco farmers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, can you say that again? You were breaking up.
I just said yeah. That's all I had to
Oh,
say.
just
Well,
yes.
I agree with you on that. Yes.
So that's pretty much that's the story. That's the case of the addictive flash drive. Now now in the grave with a question mark.
Yeah, like we said earlier, to be continued. This is still an in progress story, apparently.
Yes. So anyway, there was another huge story.
This
I
one's
don't
very
I
big.
don't I don't know if you guys have heard of it. There's this like I don't know, the US Supreme Court overturning a certain verdict.
Yeah, it made quite big news like the past several days. The Supreme Court on June 24th of this year overturned Roe versus Wade. It was I do believe, 5-4 vote, majority opinion, to overturn the ruling. And more than half, or around half of the United States have already taken advantage of this to enact trigger laws and such, which have banned abortions in those states. Um, yeah,
Yeah, half
it's
is a
there.
really big
Yeah,
number.
half,
It,
considering
that
you have 50 states, and
that
that's
that's
half of
20
them.
that's 25 states. So is it completely
Yeah,
banned in those states or is it like varying?
there are some states in which it is completely banned already. As far as I know. I don't have a list of which states, but there are states that have outright said it is banned. On the other hand, there are states where it is legal and they are offering uh, protection for anyone who uh, goes to those states to seek an abortion, who have outright stated they will not cooperate with any states attempting to extradite. Um, again, I don't have any lists on which states those are. Probably should have gone into this with a list of states. But yeah, it's a very the states are very divided on what the decision to make here is. Um,
Yeah, and I think
and
that's
of course,
probably one of the biggest flaws of this
yes,
ruling.
is how every state is so radically different in their approach to this.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Well, if you're going to have the states codify it one way, yeah, what's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen when what's going to happen when they have differing opinions?
Right. Because, like I said, there were several states that are criminalizing even going to other states to obtain an abortion. But those states that people are fleeing to are also saying they won't cooperate with those other states. So it really creates a conflict between the states themselves.
Right. So now that brings me to my next question about this whole issue, which is, you know, are we headed towards civil unrest? I don't
I,
like we've had
that's a tricky question.
huge issues like this before, and I know
Hmm.
one of them. And that one did lead to civil unrest, but not all of them. So it could be one of those things that
Hmm.
does finally push the peace of what we have in these United States. off.
Yeah, for sure. People are very vocal about what's going on right now. There's protests in DC and all the major states. It's yeah,
No riots yet,
there's
which I'm glad.
yeah, none of the protests I've seen have gotten too violent or anything yet. From what I've seen at the very least. Um but yeah, it's I don't have too much more to say. I didn't really get too many notes on this, um, to be honest.
I feel
But
like a lot of people are
oh,
talking about it right now, so we can still kind of,
yeah.
because I definitely have several like thoughts and theories about this, which is, you know,
Hmm.
regardless of my views on abortion, they're not really, you know, like regardless of them,
Hmm.
like I'm starting to wonder like what are we gonna make of this, because there's gonna be a huge like bureaucratical problem with, you know, if states are trying to prosecute this and they end up going to another state for an abortion, what's going to happen if they don't, if the states aren't cooperating, what's going to happen, you know,
Hmm.
a house divided on which itself cannot stand,
Yup.
which is why I start to, you know, go towards the we might be heading for civil war.
Truly, I've never actually. People say that all the time, and you never really take it seriously. But honestly, at this point, who knows? Truly, it's a scary time. Um, and what this sets precedence for, as Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas said, is that they should reconsider other Supreme Court decisions, such as Griswold versus Connecticut, Lawrence versus Texas, and Obergefell versus Hodges. These are like very important rulings, and he is in the minority opinion here. Let me add that. But it is scary to think that there are people who have the power to just overturn these decisions that could affect millions of people like immediately.
And if you don't know what those court decisions are,
Mhm.
I believe
I have
I
lists
believe
on what they are.
two of them relate to gay marriage, and one of them relates to right to contraceptives.
Mhm. So Griswold versus Connecticut was the ruling that said that married couples can buy and use contraceptives. The ruling Lawrence versus Texas was the ruling that said criminalizing sodomy was unconstitutional. And the last one, Obergefell versus Hodges. I hope I'm pronouncing Obergefell correctly.
I believe
But anyway,
so.
that law or that ruling is the one that protects same-sex marriage. Um, and those are the three that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas said need to be reconsidered. So it's scary time. It's a scary time right now, truly, for for a lot of people.
Yeah, that is. It's definitely a good question on how we codify law. Like,
Yes,
like a lot of people's, you know, rights are being upheld by, you know,
by rulings that can be
by
overturned on a
court
whim.
cases that can get
Hmm.
overturned. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
and
so much on
and
a whim; they take a while to be overturned. But
you're right. You're right. This was a
you saw
planned
how
effort
quickly it went from talking about it to being overturned.
action. Right.
Like it's quick in the eyes of the law, though. Like
Hmm.
in the way of how law works. So it does. It definitely sends a message to me about how we shouldn't be so wishy washy on these, you know, topics that are very divisive. We should choose one way or another, codify it into law instead of the being like rulings that are kind of up in the air.
Right. Right.
So that's my viewpoint more on it than like
Hmm.
what like who is right, who is wrong in this situation. It's just, you know, this amount of civil unrest is going to cause an issue.
Right.
You know, whether it's riots or just full blown civil war, or you know maybe it'll be okay, and we'll just have here's what I think would be scarier than
Hmm.
just riots or whatever it would be scarier to have little issues build up into something big. So like you'll have like like this happened a lot where like significant issues are being brought to court
Hmm.
and then they go all the way up to the Supreme Court. You're talking like I'm talking like back in the civil rights era kind of things, like Brown versus
Hmm.
Board.
Right. Plessy versus Ferguson, such like that.
Yet things that are like, you know, really big, really small things that turn into huge things. And that's kind of how every court case that has been put into law turns into, and then just nobody bothers codifying it. So, what? Uh, let me propose this. What if we have another Roe v. Wade? So that one
But
gets
mhm.
cited, and we just happen to do again and again and again.
I see. So we never, you're saying we have a cyclical Roe v. Wade situation that like 50 years later we get another similar ruling to Roe, then 50 years later it's overturned, and so on and so on.
Yeah, and we just never settle. That's what I am
Hmm.
worried about in the terms of like the large scope of like how we make laws.
Hmm. So yeah, I agree with that. That is a valid concern. It's the things people were concerned about and debating like 30, 40 years ago are the same things people are talking about today. We haven't solved any of these problems in decades. It's really scary.
Yeah, it's funny to think things we thought we solved,
Hmm.
well, things we
Hmm.
resolved. I don't want to say solved because that means that was the correct solution.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
thinks that's
that
the
it was
correct solution.
over and that there was no more progress to be made. But
Yeah,
what I posit is that there's a lot of things we haven't even made progress on. Like homelessness is still a very large issue that has been being talked about for decades, and barely any progress has been made at all on that front.
it's almost like we've gotten nowhere in the past like 50, 60 years,
Truly,
which kind of scares me.
it scares me a lot.
And there is a few different messages centered around this that really do upset me that kind of relate to this, which
Hmm.
is basically immediately after it happened, a lot of like verified check marks on Twitter were saying, "Oh, if you want this fixed, you have to vote for
Hmm.
representative
Yeah,
this
that's what
person
you
is.
hear. Just go and vote
Just
is
go,
all you hear anymore.
vote
Just
for
go
me."
vote, donate $6, go vote. And that's all you hear. Nothing more productive, nothing specific. Just go vote. The blanket statement.
Right. And what it starts to make me think is nobody wants to actually move things along. They just want a job. They
Right.
want
That is
power.
what it seems like.
And it really makes me think that like, every representative that we look, for a solution is just trying to,
Mm.
they're just trying to play us.
They're holding these rights over our heads, being like, oh, if you get me in office, we'll give you this. And then we get them in office. And they never do anything, is what it seems like.
I feel like that's a huge part that's perpetuating this cycle here.
Hmm.
That that this is a game to some
Yeah.
that we don't like these matter. These things that these laws that you're making, they matter. And
Yeah, they affect people.
I guess at the end of the day, we're all human, including the
Hmm.
politicians. So you know maybe this is what happens. Get that spot there, and you're looking at all of this than just what we're looking at right now. There's
Hmm.
more issues there. How are we talking about? There's like a homelessness issue. There's homelessness issue, poverty.
Food
Um,
insecurity.
yeah, poverty, food insecurity,
Education,
education. Like I could go
mass
on and on and on
shootings. Yeah.
with every single issue that's, plaguing the United States right now. And I guess you just look at it and you're like, okay, so I got to really break this down and try to figure it out. And I guess um the easiest way to do that is just through this gamification thing where
Hmm.
where you start to believe that if everything, if I can just keep getting elected, I'll keep being able to solve problems.
Hmm.
So sometimes I got to leave other problems to do something else.
This sounds a lot like a few podcast episodes ago. You had talked about how you go about your job or the job you had at the time, how you compartmentalize your tasks. It
Yeah,
feels like
like
that's what's happening here.
compartmentalizing tasks, just
Hmm.
trying to keep going and just solve one thing at a time. But
Right. While all of these issues are equally important
yeah,
and
that's the
yeah,
issue. All these issues equally problematic and important. So you
and
just
all of them,
you just
yeah.
got to decide what's best right now.
Which ones you're most able to take care of at the moment.
And everyone has a different idea on that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how we get here. Now that's just one theory behind the entire psychology and philosophy of the entire governmental system of the United States. And it's
Yeah.
probably completely incorrect.
I wouldn't put past it. Yeah.
But that's kind of what I get to thinking here, that everyone's just kind of compartmentalizing and
Hmm.
using the issues that are quote unquote easy to solve to be able to use it as a leverage point in their campaigning.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Isn't that what you heard from? Hmm.
everyone right now is saying, "Oh, I'm going to fix this. Just vote for
Yeah.
me."
For me, it's not even that. It's that, or it is that, but also, what you said about saying, or I think you said something similar to like saying things to get you into office, to get you into these positions of power, and then not doing anything about it. Like, is that similar to what you're getting at?
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
not doing anything about that specific issue because it's an easy issue.
Right. But what it's like the justices, the Supreme Court justices that just voted against to voted to overturn Roe versus Wade had said in their like commencement speeches that Roe versus Wade was the law of the land and it was a set precedent and that they vowed to uphold it. And then here we are watching them then go and overturn these rulings.
Right. And the funny thing about the Supreme Court is they don't really have to do that. Why are they playing the game? They're in for life.
Yeah, like there's no one else they really have to appease. They're appointed by like presidents and such.
Yeah, and they can't be taken down.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they can be impeached, can't they?
they can still be impeached, but it's a lot different than impeaching, say, a president, which is already really
Right.
hard.
Right. But
You
yeah,
know,
like you said, there's no like the people don't vote for the Supreme Court justices, so there's no real reason for them to necessarily say what the people want them to hear.
right? They're gonna be there, and they're gonna be there for
Mhm.
life until they die. That's their job
Yeah.
until they die. So why are they playing the game?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question, and you know, maybe maybe the power goes to their head. Being some of the most powerful people in the world does have to get to you.
True.
So
I definitely agree.
so maybe the power is going to their head, and they're just being like, "Oh, look what I can do," you know, which is more crazy morbid and probably also completely incorrect. But it does get me thinking about those things like, what if these people are just insane? What if we
I wouldn't
elected
put past
insane
it.
people?
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, again, we didn't elect the Supreme Court justices.
Well, yeah,
There is no voting
but we
process for
elected the
that.
people that put them there.
True. That there you go.
What if we elected insane people?
I think we did. We definitely did. Well, I didn't. I wasn't old enough to vote,
Yeah,
but
and I didn't.
this isn't on me.
I didn't vote in the last election. I could because I felt like it was hopeless.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a state that is voting opposite to what
Hmm.
why
Then what does your vote really do
what does your vote
against all
do?
that?
Also, what if you just don't like anyone? What if you're sitting
I
there
agree.
looking at the ballot and you'd be like, all these people suck?
I've definitely felt that.
I
I
was looking at that. I was like, they really got Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
That's how I
You
looked
got
at
the
it. Yeah.
guy who fires people with his children, and you also have the guy that can't really string sentences together properly.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
certainly agree.
and even like the presidency is like a machine. Like when you really think about it,
Hmm.
like the whole I hate politics, and this is
Hmm.
like I hate the whole machine of it. And I'm not an anarchist, I swear. But I
I
just
took a
don't like
political
it.
compass test. I think I might be.
I'm not an anarchist, I swear, but I don't like the way this works.
I
Because
agree with you there, at least.
because the people behind these people are just they're influencing them strongly. You got you know and most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, it's the Republican National Convention and the Democrat National Convention,
Hmm.
and it's them two basically fighting it out with their little toy soldiers.
Yeah.
Insanely the most powerful man or woman in the world, even though we haven't had a madam president yet.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be soon.
We had it for like a moment, didn't we? Like a little bit ago, like last year, like a day when Joe
Well,
Biden had his
well,
his
there
medical
was
thing.
Hillary Clinton on the ballot in
No, I mean
2016.
back last year when the vice president temporarily took office while Biden was unavailable.
I suppose so, but that happened.
Technically.
That's so routine that could it even
Hmm.
be considered that? Like that's just I'm going out I'm going outside for a moment. Watch the kids.
Essentially, yeah. That's
Oh,
what I was saying when it happened is like we got our technically first female president as
yeah.
such a small thing that
For
it might
like
as well not even be mentioned.
right, that's the thing.
Yeah, it was like a few hours.
But people will make a big deal of it.
Hmm.
And you know, I just think that a lot of the way a lot of things are right now is like everything's bigger. You got to look up.
Hmm.
Everything's bigger than it seems. And you can really boil down American politics to two gigantic machines, which are just the political parties.
Hmm.
And you can kind of just, it's a really good litmus test to like look at things and see like, oh, the Democrats run 50% of, you know, the Senate with two of them that have dissenting opinions sometimes. So depending on those two dissenting opinions views, it's either going one way or the other way.
Hmm.
So you really only need to look at those two people. You don't have to look at the hundreds of people that run the legislative branch of the government.
Right.
Which is interesting. And it really does get to that like kind of machine thing when you start introducing proxies, because if you didn't know, the House of Representatives and I think both the House of Representatives and the Senate can vote like this. They can send in proxies, which are basically, their assistant or like literally anyone, and just walk up and say, whatever behalf they are speaking for.
Hmm.
Like some people can't even be bothered to come into the office and say what they want to say. The only you can get to the point where the only reason you're there is if you have to tell someone, like personally, or like make a case for something.
Hmm.
And even then, you can have other people speak on your behalf on the stand. It's it's ridiculous, and it's very much just. I just feel like it's very a little. It's gotten a little like I think it's better than like
Hmm.
say kings throwing rocks at each other or something dumb like that.
Uh,
But I don't think it's the best government in the world.
for sure.
It's better than no government, though. I will say that. Better than no
I'm
government,
uncertain if
and
I agree, but I do agree that it's not the best.
better than no government. It's better than all the other things people have tried. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best government in the world. I wouldn't say that. I don't think anyone has the best government. There's no way. Like all of them have strengths and flaws. I don't think I can ever crown like one government the best government.
Mm, that's reasonable.
But the U.S. is definitely not the best government.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone has their strengths and drawbacks. We have a lot of drawbacks. I mean,
Hmm.
I went to there was this funny thing. Like I was trying to prove that the US has the best news
Hmm.
because we're the funniest.
That's a
So
good argument. You can make that
so
argument.
I went to CNN Canada, the CNN
Hmm.
Canada page, and all they were talking about was the US. I had to actually like scroll down the page to see anything Canadian. And what it was about like their Green Party. And the first thing they did in the article was compare it to the US's Green Party. It's as you know, I as someone we both know once said, we live in clown world. So after that, after those two very charged topics, I think one was a bit more charged than the other.
Probably.
I have a question.
What's your question?
Uh, what's your favorite caffeinated drink? People have coffee or tea. People have coffee,
Mhm.
tea. 200 milligrams of caffeine that makes you want to destroy a city block. You know, like what do you make? And if it's like a brew drink, how do you make it?
My favorite caffeinated drink is hands down tea. I love tea so much.
Tea
I
is
typically
great.
don't. Tea is fantastic. I typically am not the one who makes tea. I go out and buy pre-made tea. Specifically, not sponsored, Pure Leaf,
Pure leaf
sweet
tea,
tea. Yeah, Pure Leaf is my favorite brand of tea.
which is actually just Lipton. Lipton makes
True.
pure leaf.
Interesting.
So yeah,
But yeah, that is my favorite tea, my favorite caffeinated drink.
which
Um,
which is your favorite peace tea or not peace tea? Peace tea is
Pure
pretty
Leaf.
good though. What's your favorite pure leaf?
I I've not tried too many of their flavors. I really liked. I think it was raspberry and like what was it, berry hibiscus
You're breaking
were
up.
really good.
Say it one more time.
Oh,
Your favorite
I
flavors.
said I've tried raspberry and I think it was berry hibiscus was really good. But my
Oh,
go-to is
your
always just the
internet really
normal.
doesn't want you to say what your favorite
Yeah,
leaf flavors
it's
is.
censoring me, Taylor.
All right,
It's the government. It's censoring us.
take
Okay.
three.
Is it clear now? Are we clear?
Yeah,
Sounding
yeah,
better?
we're sounding better.
Okay. Okay. Um, so my favorite, or not my favorite, the ones I've had that I really liked were, what was it? What did I say? It was
You said raspberry.
raspberry. Raspberry was good. I believe I've tried cherry hibiscus. If I'm getting that right, those were really good. But my go-to is always just plain sweet tea, like the blue labeled one. I
Yeah,
love that one.
I don't understand the people that get extra sweet tea.
I'm going to be honest. I do also like extra sweet. I haven't
It's
had it in
it's
years,
way
but
too sweet though,
for you, maybe. I
in my
quite like really
opinion.
sweet tea. I used to have a lunch schedule where I would have sweet tea one day, extra sweet the next, and I would just flip flop between the two.
Yeah, to me it was way too sweet. Have you ever had McDonald's? Their tea?
I've had McDonald's tea. Yeah,
Have you had their sweet tea?
I have. I always get their sweet tea when I get their tea.
That thing, like, that hurts my teeth with how much sugar's in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just better at sweet stuff. I guess. I don't
You're
know.
better at sweet stuff.
I guess I could just handle
Like, I'm
sweet
pretty
better.
sure, I bet if I look up the nutrition facts for McDonald's tea,
Oh, it's abysmal. I can assure you.
the nutrition summary, it has sugar. 24 grams of sugar. So let's say you go up to a large. Yeah, 40 grams of sugar in a large McDonald's tea.
Yeah, that's sugar.
So that's a lot. Um, that being said, I've had like soda. Soda's like that's on par with soda.
Yeah,
And my preferred caffeinated drink of choice is Monster, specifically the like the just the regular for zero.
like the green one.
No, the white one.
Oh,
Just the regular zero one. And of course
okay.
that one's like zero sugar, but it's fake sugar, so probably still just as awful for me. And everyone's like, you probably shouldn't drink that. And I'm
Didn't your
like,
doctors tell you that?
yeah, my doctor told me I shouldn't drink that, but I don't drink that much. I just drink one can, like when I go to work.
Yeah, that's decent.
And that's like I only drink one. Like that's my like I cap out at one a day. A really bad day. And I'm like running on 4 hours of sleep, which I have done before, and just because I remember. So I used to work for this. So I changed jobs. So I still work at a gas station, but it's a gas station, and yeah, so it's a different gas station now. And at the previous gas station, they would put me on a shorter second shift, so it'll be like 2 to 6, but I'm normally 2 to 10, so I would still I would have trouble going to sleep, but they would put me on 4 a.m. the next day. So those days were pretty bad, where I couldn't get to sleep until like midnight, and I was running on like 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I have done that, and I don't like it. And that was like when I was in school too. So that was like on the
Ooh.
weekend. So it was like I'd be like I'd be like 2 to 6 on a Saturday, and like 4 to 2 on a Monday. And I was like, and it's funny because I asked someone like, "Why is this happening?" And it was because someone took leave, and they needed to cover it.
Oh.
So now they weren't on a beach somewhere sipping mai tais, but I'd like to think uh they were actually they took a leave because they couldn't get to work for a long time.
Hmm.
Uh, so I did feel bad for them, but
Hmm.
also, but like in my head canon for a time, I was just like, oh yeah, this person's just sitting there on a beach somewhere where I have to get up at 4 in the morning.
I like that. You're making head cannons for work. That's funny.
Head canons for real people, even though that's absolutely not what's happening.
It's called an opinion.
It's an opinion. What do you do with an opinion that's not true? Like it's
Um,
not true.
uh,
It's a it's an opinion, but you're
a
lying.
lie. Yes, a lie is what it is. You're lying to yourself.
That's probably not healthy.
Yeah, probably.
Just like my caffeine consumption, apparently. But also for tea, I do make herbal tea.
Ooh,
So not
that's nice.
caffeinated. Well, sometimes herbal tea being caffeinated, but not traditionally.
Hmm.
Um, there's this tea that we get from Chinatown, DC.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, there's like this Asian market there, and it's good. I've it's like some hibiscus rose tea or something, like a
That sounds
red
good.
tea. It's good.
I've neglected to mention boba tea. Just a shout out. Boba tea's pretty good.
I haven't had boba tea in a while, and the one time I did, it was like they like messed up making it,
Oh, that's sad.
so I just kind of had to deal with it
Oh, the
because
one and only time.
I couldn't buy a second one because I was like out of money, like I was out of
Oh,
cash,
that's so sad.
so I couldn't like buy another one or something. That being said, there are these like teas, but they're not really teas. They're like they kind of remind me of like a seltzer water,
Hmm.
and they have like the marble, the marble on the top that's sealing it.
Yeah.
Those are good. I like those. I forget what
Mhm.
they're. I think they're just called. I think they're just something soda. I forget what it was. They're good. I like those.
Yeah. The one and only time I've had boba tea, I had it with milk, and the tea itself was like fine. The milk was a different type of milk. I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background, by the way.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay.
I was about to say they're barking at I don't know what. Surprised I haven't heard yours yet today.
I'm
But
sure they're gonna lose their minds here in a second.
but yeah, anyway, the one time I had boba tea, I had it with milk, and it must have been a milk I wasn't familiar with because I was like, oh, this is milk. Okay. And the boba was interesting. It was odd, drinking something and having a semi-solid object in your mouth with the drink. It
Yeah,
was a bit it was a bit odd, but I did quite enjoy the tea, and I would definitely I'd go for more boba tea. It was quite good. I don't know if it's caffeinated. It might be, but it was good.
yeah. I haven't been back to Chinatown in a while, but I want
Mhm.
to. It's just getting to DC.
Yeah, from where we are, not going to disclose where we are, but
I mean, it's not too far. It's a couple hours, but
a couple hours, really?
it or
Eh,
take. But
all right.
like, it's just getting in there. Like, if you go to DC, it's like constructions everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, constructions everywhere. The streets are congested, so it's better. Probably the best way I've gotten to DC is to just take the train.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that once or twice on a field
I
trip.
I get on train, go over there, I'll put somewhere over there, and then I take the metro to wherever I need to go in the city.
Hmm.
And you just walk everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I did.
The only hazard is you gotta watch out for pickpockets and street vendors and
Hmm.
screaming homeless men.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a guy the last time I went there via train. I was getting on the metro,
Mhm.
and the guy at the top of the tunnel was screaming about like the end of time,
Oh, we love those people.
like the end of the world.
I
Yeah,
was about to say the end of
you
time. That was
know,
my favorite
yeah,
episode of Doctor Who ever.
like Rapture.
Hmm.
Like the guy was screaming about
Yeah,
Rapture
there's
and stuff, and this was before COVID. And when
people have
COVID
always
hit,
been screaming about that.
I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Maybe this guy was right.
He's out there like, I told you so. I told you so.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah,
Maybe he's still there, yelling about the
maybe.
Rapture. Yeah. So, and then that's the other thing I hate. If you get around like the national mall area of DC.
Mhm.
So many like street vendors that are obvious but licensed,
Yeah.
and they like get in your face and all that. And I don't respond to pressure well. So anyway, I bought a hat last time I was in that area. There was this guy, and he was like, if you would make us a kind donation, I'll give you a hat. And that wasn't how
That's
he
how they
said it.
get you.
He said it with a lot more hustle, and like
Mhm.
walking in front of me as I was trying to walk.
Mhm.
So I give the guy like $5, and he was like, no, 10. Like, bruh,
Damn. Okay. Oh my bad.
I don't understand these people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we've gone off on several tangents from your question. I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest. I
Anyway,
was about to say I still have a question.
yeah, let's close this out because I
All
just
right.
got a text saying I gotta go outside and do something.
Oh, okay. So we want to do the my question, or are we
Yep.
just closing?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question.
What might be your question, Jamie?
So let's see. You're a fan of Star Wars, right?
I would say so. A
Okay.
very a
I was
very
about to say.
armchair fan. I haven't
I was about
seen
to say.
much of the
I'm
stuff,
not.
but
Yeah, that's not my
I've
question, but I
seen
did want that follow up.
yeah. So I've seen A New Hope, Mando season 1, and some of the Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff. I know all of the
Oh
Star
yeah.
Wars fans in the chat are going to verbally execute me.
I would say your brother and I finished up Kenobi yesterday. It was quite good. But anyway, that's not my question. My question is, if you were a Jedi or a Sith and you had a lightsaber, what color would your blade be?
I think my blade color would be green because that's my favorite color.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's interesting because green is also my favorite color, but green isn't the one I would pick.
Is there a reason? Is there like something in Star
Mm.
Wars lore that like depends on?
Green typically is for Jedi Masters.
Oh, see, I'm not I'm very much a beginner.
Mm.
What's the beginner color?
Blue if you're a Jedi. But
Blue.
also, I didn't expect you to take into in account the lore or anything. I just figured, what color would you have if you could choose
Yeah.
any
Green
color?
is my favorite color.
Green is a good choice. I quite like how green looks. Um, as for me, I think I just quite like white lightsabers. I just think
Oh
they look
yeah, they're
really
cool.
cool. Yeah. They're
I
really
actually
nice.
can I just
It's
have the dark saber?
Dark Saber. That's a good one. I was about to say, since it is still June at the time of recording, I would like to momentarily change my answer. Rainbow lightsaber.
Rainbow
Uh,
lightsaber.
any other month besides June, it would be white because we're a corporation here and we don't care about gay people for the rest of the year. But 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 during June, my lightsaber would be
If you're watching this in any other month than June.
yeah. Then my lightsaber would be white. But during June, rainbow. But no, in seriousness though, I just really like the white lightsabers because it's like just something about it. It feels like it's not Jedi, it's not Sith, it's not anything like that.
It's
It just
neutral.
is. It's very yeah.
Yes. That being said, if I could choose the dark saber, I would.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
You'd be the ruler of Mandalore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I do wish to command
yeah.
over
Well, I'll
over
say that's why you
oh
want the dark saber. It's
yes,
all about power.
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 Can't say that too much. Disney will cancel us.
Oh yeah, you right. My bad.
It'd be like, hey, you better not be making Star Wars references on your channel with 50
You right.
subscribers.
You right. Um, hell, even the word use of the word lightsaber might get us a copyright strike. Um, but anyway, I think that's a good place to leave off
Yes,
for
I hope
today's
you
podcast.
enjoyed this unofficial official season 2.
I thought you said
Uh
season one since last was season
oh
0.
yes. Yes, this would be season 1 because last season was I didn't. but seasons because I didn't think we'd be taking a break for a year.
Are we going
But
to have to do that now where we do seasons?
seasons because
The college season is the break.
the too depressed to record season.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's been a great episode. I like this new format. It,
Me
it
too.
it's less to do.
True. Yeah. Although
It
we got about the same runtime, so that's good.
yeah. Uh, Let us know what you guys think. I
Mhm.
It as always. I know politically charged, but it's okay. That's
Hopefully next one won't be as bad.
hopefully next one the world's not on fire.
Literally, the world explodes next episode.
Anyway, as always, in the lads podcast. See y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Farewell.
Bye bye.